Welcome to Lola's Frugal Life Podcast. If you're on a mission to be more frugal with both your time and money, you're in the right place. In this podcast, we talk about topics that help enhance living a frugal lifestyle. The goal is to save time and money where we can so that we can use the rest on what matters most to us. We talk a lot about both time and money management so that we can waste as little as possible on both. We do this while also embracing a progress over perfection mindset. If that sounds good to you, then please stick around for the latest episode right after a few quick words from our sponsor. Hi everyone, welcome back to my weekly meal plan episode. If you're new here, I just want to give a really quick explanation of kind of why I do this episode and how I do my meal plan, because I haven't gotten into the details in a while, so I just thought it would be good to do kind of like a quick little recap. So every week I do a meal plan episode, which basically is just me letting you know what my family has on our meal plan for the upcoming week. I only do the meal plan for dinners. This meal plan episode comes out every Wednesday, and the meal plan starts the upcoming Saturday. I have a website, which is lolasfrugallife.com, and the meal plan that I do for each week, the same day the episode comes out, there's a blog post there that has links to any of the recipes that are mentioned in the episode. So the reason I share this is because I think meal planning is really important, and it's helped me so much in just managing everyday life in what we're going to eat for dinner each night, and not having to stress about what we're going to eat for dinner each night, and knowing exactly what to purchase when I go to the grocery store because I have a meal plan in place. So I'm buying the groceries for what I'm actually going to be making, and it wastes less food, and it just makes my life a lot easier. I used to take a lot of time meal planning, and it would stress me out, even just the process of it, because I was always trying to figure out what I was going to make, and was I rotating things enough, and finding new recipes and things like that. And then I finally, I forget, it was probably either a YouTube channel or a podcast or whatever, but someone had mentioned how they do like a rotation of their family favorites or whatever. And I started creating a rotation of meals. So like, for example, you'll probably hear me say a lot of the times that we have hamburgers every other Monday. Every Tuesday we do some type of Mexican theme meal. Also on Mondays, on the non-hamburger days, we do steak one of those. We do hot dogs on the other one. We do seafood every Wednesday. Thursdays we do soup and grilled cheese or breakfast for dinner. And then Fridays just kind of, Friday, Saturday, Sunday are just kind of random. I pick recipes to fill in those gaps. But what I do is every time I make a meal, if it's something that my family likes to eat on a regular basis, I go forward whatever that designated amount of time is, whether it's a structure, like where it's every 2 weeks or whatever, I'll just go ahead and put that meal on the meal plan for the next time we're going to have it. Or if it's something that we just kind of have whenever, I might think, okay, well, I just had chicken cutlets tonight. When am I going to make those again? Let's say we'll have them again in 4 weeks, and I'll go 4 weeks ahead and put it on my meal plan. So I'm kind of constantly building my future meal plans as each day passes, because as soon as the meal is made, I will look forward and say, when are we going to have this again? And I'll put it on my meal plan. And then of course I don't have to stick with that. I can move things around as those weeks come. If I want to squeeze in a new recipe or whatever, I do move things around and make changes as needed. But the vast majority of my meal plan is already in place, and then I could just make adjustments rather than having to start from scratch. So I just thought it would be good to kind of share that, because that might be helpful to some of you that might be struggling with meal planning, just to kind of see if maybe you can kind of come up with some type of rotation, even if it's just, starting with like one day. Like maybe you just figure out on Mondays what's kind of going to be your rotating plan for Mondays. And the reason that I thought I should share this, because I haven't done it in a while, is because of this really nice review that I got on Apple Podcasts that I wanted to share. And they said, the review was left by Hannah Indiana 812, and the heading says tacos every week. And it says, I found this podcast through one of my favorite YouTubers, Louise Lane, and I've really been enjoying it, especially the meal plans. Even though the recipes repeat, it's teaching me how to structure my family's meal plan and actually make it obtainable. Before when I would take the time to make a meal plan, I would always search for new recipes, which means I would have to add special things to my grocery list, and it's just too much. After a couple of weeks, I'm tired, out of ideas, and ready to order out. But using her tips to have your favorites on rotation is perfect because I want tacos every week. Then just add something new when you get inspired. It saves time, and I'm already low on time with a newborn, so I love applying her tips. I just find her whole podcast inspiring and relaxing. So I thought that was such a nice review, so thank you so much. And by the way, I have to look up this Louise Lane. I'm so curious. Like, I wish you could reply back to comments to ask questions, because I'm so curious if this person, the YouTuber, if they had mentioned my podcast, like they listened to it. I'm wondering if this is another listener, or if it was just kind of like found as a suggestion on YouTube as like another similar podcast or whatever, because I do have a YouTube channel too it's just the podcast in video format, but no videos, just kind of has a picture and it plays the same thing you hear here. But so I'm just so curious, so I have to look up this YouTuber, or if whoever left the review, if you want to send me an email. I'm just really curious, like how you found the podcast through this YouTuber. But I wanted to talk about how I do the meal plan process with those rotations, because this person found it really helpful, and it really helped me. I was in the same situation as her, with struggling and always trying to feel like I had to create this like from scratch meal plan every week. So I thought it was worth kind of sharing how I do my meal plans. So anyway, so this week's meal plan. Oh, and by the way, I think I said already, but thank you so much for leaving that review. It was a super, super nice review, and it's really exciting to know that just by kind of explaining this process and sharing the meal plans, that it's been really helpful to you. So thank you again so much for that. And it really helps grow the podcast too, by getting those, especially those written reviews on Apple Podcasts. So anyway, so this week's meal plan starts on Saturday, March 4th. So for Saturday, I'm going to be making homemade chicken franchise, and this is from dinneratthezoo.com. I have not made this recipe yet, and I haven't made chicken franchise in like the longest time. I used to make this a long time ago, and then at one point I wound up getting like a jarred sauce that you could buy to make it, and then I made it like that for a little while, and then I just kind of haven't made it in the longest time. So I'm going to try that recipe, and then I'm just going to serve some linguine on the side with the chicken franchise. Then on Sunday, I'm going to be making Chef John's stuffed peppers, which is from allrecipes.com. I made these a few weeks ago, and they were so good, so I'm going to make them again, and I'm going to do them with crispy air fried sweet potato wedges from cookinglight.com. It's kind of just like French fry type wedges that you make with sweet potatoes, and they went well. I think I made those with the stuffed peppers last time. I always kind of struggle like with what to serve as a side with stuffed peppers, but I think I might have done the sweet potatoes last time, and if I did, I think they were good. So that's what's in my mind, so that's what we're going to do for Sunday. For Monday, it's our hot dog night, so we just do hot dogs once a month. I just boil them up on the stove. I make home fried potatoes in the air fryer, which is I just take potatoes, peppers, and onions and toss them with some olive oil and some salt and pepper and cook them up in the air fryer, or of course you could roast them in the oven. And then we're going to do leftover chili, because I am making chili this week when I'm recording this episode, but then for next week when I'm cooking the hot dogs that night, I will have leftover chili in the freezer from what I'm making this week, so we'll have that on the side with the hot dogs and the potatoes. For Tuesday, it's our Mexican theme night, so I'm doing sheet pan chicken fajitas from foodnetwork.com. This is just your typical chicken breast cut up into small pieces and tossed with peppers and onions and some seasoning, and then serve with flour tortillas. And we also usually make white rice to go with it too, because some of us like to make bowls and some of us like to put it on a, like a regular fajita, like eat it like a regular fajita on the flour tortilla. Wednesday is our seafood night. So for Wednesday, we're doing baked salmon. We kind of do that every like 2 to 3 weeks. I get the frozen salmon fillets, and I just brush some olive oil and season them with McCormick Smokehouse maple seasoning. Bake them in the oven at 450 degrees for 10 to 12 minutes, and it comes out perfect. And then I'm just going to do some boiled egg noodles on the side with that, and some frozen vegetables, whatever kind of happen to have in the freezer on hand. I always keep some frozen vegetables on hand whenever they go on sale. I just buy a few and kind of keep them in there. For Thursday, we are doing hash brown breakfast casserole, which is from spendwithpennies.com. This is a casserole that's made with shredded hash browns, cooked sausage, like breakfast sausage, and eggs and milk. And you kind of put it all together and bake it in the oven. I realized the other day that I had a bag of shredded hash brown potatoes in my freezer that needed to get used up, so I decided to make that to use them up, and it's a quick, easy breakfast meal. You just kind of put it together and it just bakes in the oven for like an hour. So I like to actually try and get it together and put it in the oven before I go do my grocery pickups, so that when I get home, it's pretty much done. Someone's home so that if the oven beeps before I get home, they can take it out. But it's just kind of nice because it'll just like cook while I'm gone getting the groceries. And then when I get back, dinner's already done. So I've been kind of trying to do that. And then the last meal on this week's meal plan is for Friday, March 10th. And that is going to be quick baked chicken parm, which is from allrecipes.com. This is just a really easy baked chicken parm recipe. You basically just bread the chicken and bake it in the oven and top it with sauce and mozzarella cheese. I used to make this a lot and it just kind of somehow fell out of the rotation. So it popped into my mind the other day. So I decided I would add that to this week's meal plan. And then we're just going to do spaghetti on the side with that. So we'll have chicken parm with spaghetti. So that's it for this week's meal plan. As I mentioned, you can find a post of this meal plan every week, the same day this episode comes out. It's on my website at lolasfrugallife.com, and any of the recipes that I mentioned in this week's meal plan will be in that weekly blog post. So thank you so much for listening, and I will see you back here next week. So thank you for checking in for this podcast episode. And don't forget, you can always email me with any questions or suggestions at lolasfrugallife@gmail.com. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook at lolasfrugallife. And you can find a blog post for most of my episodes and definitely all of my meal plan episodes at lolasfrugallife.com. You can also join our private listeners group at facebook.com/groups/lolasfrugallife. And if you enjoy the show, please make sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you listen from. And I would love it if you would screenshot the show and tag me on Instagram so I could see you're listening. Also, if you can please take a couple of seconds to rate and review the podcast. Those ratings and reviews are what help the show come up better in search results so that other people can find this podcast. So that will really help me in growing my audience. So that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have an awesome day.